Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? I want to welcome. Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, family. What's going on with everybody today? How you all doing? Hey, welcome to another episode of Faith and Finance Tuesday. We are in episode 8, and I am glad you joined me today. We got a special guest, guys. You know, we've been talking over the last several weeks. We've been talking about developing the mind and developing that mind to prosper, right? We've been talking about the importance of changing our thinking and before we can change our future. So tonight, instead of me doing some more teaching, before we do some more teaching, I got a special guest that's going to be joining us tonight. And we're going to be chopping it up, and we're going to be discussing faith and finances. And you know, I've been knowing this brother for a number of years. You know, we met through some networking events. And you know, I can't remember if it was prepaid legal or Organo Go. Maybe he'll remember when he hop on. But you know, I remember when I first, caught my attention. When he first caught my attention, you know, at one of the networking events. What caught my attention about this brother that we got the same last name, right? Adair. And you know, it's not too many Adairs. So you know, my first question, man, you think we related? So we tried to find out whether we was related or not. And then, you know, we just been chopping it up since. But I've watched him over the years. What really impressed me was his work ethic, his mindset, and that's one of the things that really intrigued me. You know, no matter what business Antonio was involved in, he seemed to find a way to perform at a very high level. I watched him from a distance as he became a million dollar earner in the networking industry. And more recently, he built a barber business that generated over $1 million in revenue, y'all. And that's something you don't really hear about in the barbers industry. So tonight, we're not going to be just talking about how to, chase $1 million. Tonight, we're going to be talking about discovering what was the mindset to make that impossible, right? So we're gonna invite him on.
Can you hear me, brother?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I'm trying to figure out this camera, but hey, we get.
Oh, all right. Well, guys, as he's trying to figure out the camera, can let me know if you all can hear his voice, and then we're gonna bring him on up.
It's telling me that.
Hold on, let me see something. I wonder if it's not on. Let me. I'm gonna see if it's on my end. No. You gotta love technology.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. Yeah. Whenever I try to put the camera on, it goes mute, and I can hear you, but then you can't hear me.
Oh wow. Well, can you guys hear him? All right. They say they can hear you, brother.
They can hear me. Okay. So I guess maybe we have to do it without the camera, man. It's technology stuff. But
All
we can
right.
still, that's not going to stop me from sharing information.
All right. Well, we'll do it that way. So, brother Antonio, I was just telling. Was you able to hear me when I was introducing you?
Yes, sir. I heard all of that. I think
Okay.
we met at an Organo Gold event in
Was it?
I think
Okay.
it might have been. I'm not sure, bro. It was one of those two. It couldn't have been any other than one of those two: Organo Gold or Prepaid Legal.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was one of them. I knew it was one of them. But you don't mind just tell the people a little bit about you before I start asking some questions.
Okay, cool. So, my home has been here in the Maryland, D.C. area. I was a solid C student. When I tell my
We just lost you. Hey Antonio, if you can hear me, you know what might work if you just go ahead, close out, and just come back in. Cause we lost your yeah, we lost you all the way. I know I can't hear him. What about you guys? Can y'all hear him? All right, here we go. We coming back in.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can. Let me take this one. All right, there we go. We
We
got you.
good? Okay, cool. So,
Yep,
uh,
yep.
my home is in the Maryland, D.C. area. Um, I once got was a solid C student, man. I mean, I did the best I ever could, but never made honor roll. My daughters laugh at me when I share that with them because they're honor roll. They were honor roll students when they were in school. So, right after the Navy, right after high school, I went straight into the Navy. I served from '87 to '91. Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Got out of the Navy, moved back home to Maryland. I was stationed down in Norfolk, Virginia. Moved back home to Maryland. Got a job at the post office, became a delivery supervisor, and got involved or exposed, I should say. Matter of fact, I had a liquor store as well. I opened up a liquor store, bought my first home at
Okay.
25 years old, and you know, got closer to God at that time, my faith walk, if you will. And I was like, it didn't make sense on my faith walk to maintain the liquor store, so we ended up selling that. But got exposed to direct sales, network marketing. My first company that I was exposed to was a company called ACN, right? And so I didn't know anything about direct sales, multi-level. I just knew that there was this guy that showed up with some ostrich skin shoes and some convertible Mercedes, and I was like, it doesn't matter what it is. If he's in, I'm in. And
Right.
exposed to ACN, didn't make any money at all, absolutely no money at all, but I learned a lot. That was the thing. I learned a lot. Then got involved with a company called TPN, which was the People's Network.
Okay.
And their thing was um, personal development, self help, all of those things. So that was my exposure to Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Mark Victor Hansen, all of those type of people. And that's when I went on my personal development journey, if you will. And then TPN was purchased. A lot of folks don't know this. TPN was purchased by Prepaid Legal. That's how I became a part of Prepaid Legal. And the rest is history. In 13 weeks in prepaid, I hit the top of the company, went over the seven-figure mark there. I helped a lot of other folks do the exact same thing. Uh,
Right.
hit a speed bump there, had to end up forced, I should say, not even left that company, but I had all the goods, had all the knowledge. So it really didn't matter at that point what company I went to because I gained so much knowledge. And so got involved with, what was it, YTB, and hit the top of the company there, made a bunch of money over there. Then became a part of corporate with another company, had a corporate position and just mismanagement of funds. So that was another issue. Then got involved with Organo Gold and hit the top of the company there, made a bunch of money, and then ran into some issues. Life is going to do what life does, man. And so I
Mm-hmm.
got out of Organo Gold, and at that point, as I thought back about my network marketing career, and everybody had these subscriptions, if you will, right, or auto ships. And I'm like, with prepaid legal, they had a monthly a monthly membership. With Organo Gold, they wanted you to order coffee
Yes,
every
sir.
month. And so all these things had these monthly memberships, and I was like, you know what, I'm putting myself through barber school. I'm a veteran as well, so put myself through barber school. And my thing was, when I decided to go into the barber business, I didn't want to just open up a shop and then not know how to cut hair, if that makes sense. I know some people
Yep. Yep.
who've opened up shops and didn't know how to cut hair. They just saw the money aspect of it. So I knew a guy had a 14 tier shop, and the barbers formed a mutiny, and he just had a shop with cheers because he couldn't cut any hair. So I learned from that example, and we went to barber school, and then opportunity came. Matter of fact, opportunity came during COVID, to open up a shop during COVID. They're like, who's opening up a shop during COVID? So that's what we did. And we had a concept. Like I mentioned, with the subscriptions, we offered an unlimited haircut membership, I should say.
Okay.
And with the membership, it went from $100 a month to $200 to 300, up to $400 a month, depending upon what you wanted. So, or how much you wanted, how frequently you wanted your hair to be cut. So, within 3 years, less than 3 years, really, we went over the $1 million mark based on the membership that we had for the barbershop. And we did that with a staff of maybe 5 or 6 barbers. We didn't have a lot of people at all.
Right.
Folks could have their memberships taken out on the 1st, the 5th, the 10th, or the 15th. And so we knew that we would have all the money from the memberships by the 15th of the month. And so anything else, walk-ins and, folks who didn't want to be a part of the membership, everything else was icing on top of the cake. So by the 15th of each month, all the bills were paid, everything was covered. And before we knew it, less than 3 years, we had grossed over $1 million in revenue.
Yeah, that's unheard of in the barber business, man. So I mean, just to come with that concept and to move like that. I mean, I've been cutting hair for shoot 32 years now.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
and,
for
and
me, I
that
never,
never
I
made
still,
that.
yeah, and I'll just step in your words. For me, I've never considered myself a barber. I just haven't. I just consider myself a businessman who can cut hair. You see what I'm saying? And so
Right.
some barbers, as I've been doing this now, like I guess like 12 years, as I've been doing this, um, most barbers will look at it as a hustle. They look at it as a hustle. They don't look at it as a business. And so one of the things that the way my mind works is like, yo, this for me, it's business, right? And so every situation, every transaction, it's not a hustle, it's a business transaction. And so when
Mm-hmm.
we are doing business with people and not hustling, folks they treat the whole situation differently. And so if
Right.
you treat it like a hustle, folks going to treat your situation like it's a hustle. But if you treat it like a business, people are going to treat it like a business as well. And so,
Yeah.
but what we did was amazing in that short period of time. I had a business partner, and then another thing as well is like sometimes you go into business with people, and then you realize it's like this is really not a good mix or a good match.
Right.
Like going into business with someone is like being married to that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and we found out that it just didn't work. However, when we were grossing that million in less than 3 years, for the sake of the business, I only paid myself about $700 a week. That's it. That's all I did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was for the sake of the business. So anything that was for the betterment of the business, I mean, I gave the sacrifice up. But then once me and this gentleman decided to part ways, um, you know, my income now just if I just count mine and what I do, like last month was my best month that I've ever had in the business, and I did 11.8 last month, 11,800 bucks last month,
Wow.
and that's not counting any of the other barbers and the commission. You have some barbers on commission, some barbers on booth rent, but
Right.
11.8 just for me, and I don't work a lot. That's 11.8 guys and ladies, I should say as well. And I cut less than 50 heads last week, and I average between 30 and 40 per week. But
Mm-hmm.
last month, maybe I don't know, maybe 190 heads last month or something of that nature. But the bottom line, five figures, almost 12 grand. And once again, I don't work myself to death. Once again, I treat it like it is a business, and that's the
Right.
difference.
So that's kind of where I like what you said about the hustle, man. Because some of us have hustle mentalities,
Mm-hmm.
and some have a business mentality. So that's kind of where my first question I want to ask you to get into your mindset. Because even when it just comes to finances, I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us are we're not achieving what we want to achieve because of our mindset, right? So when
Right.
you look back over your journey, um, what would you say was the biggest mindset shift that changed your life?
I think the biggest mindset shift for me that changed my life was when I went and I sat in that first ACN meeting with a guy
Mm-hmm.
named Prince Solomon, and he's still uh, with ACN right now. And Orange Solomon, back 30 plus years ago now, I guess 20 plus years ago now, was at $70,000 a month.
Mm.
And at the post office, as a supervisor, I was making about 75,000. And I'm like, this joke is making just as much money a month as I'm making in an entire year. I'm like, somebody's doing something wrong. And what he was doing was legal. I never knew that people were making that type of money legally. I grew up in the hood. I
Right.
knew, we had some street pharmacists. I
Yes,
don't know if
sir.
they made that level of income, but to meet this guy, and he had retired both of his parents from the federal government and making $70,000 a month 20 plus years ago. I was like, you know what? I was open at that point. My mind was open, the bulb went on, and it didn't matter what he was doing. As long as it wasn't illegal, I wanted to be a part of it. But that was the thing
Mm-hmm.
that really started opening my mind. And so my best month in direct sales has been 75,000 as well over the years. But the bottom line for me was like that meeting that he presented. It was in someone's home, and 70 grand a month. I'm like, that is crazy income. And he was willing to show me. I think that was another thing. Sometimes when folks are having success, what they're not willing to do is share and show you. what it is and how they've gotten to their level. I remember at the post office as a supervisor, like I had folks who didn't want me to know what they knew. There were certain programs on the
Mm-hmm.
computers and things of that nature. They didn't want me to know what they knew because they were afraid that I would take their job, right? But the
Right.
difference is, with network marketing and more specifically on Solomon, that he was willing to give me everything that he knew, and that's what started to mold me and help me grow in the industry of direct sales. Like, some people want you to succeed. And then there's some folks who don't want you to succeed. But let's keep it positive. There's some folks who want you to succeed. They want you to be able to maximize your capability and your abilities and
Uh-huh.
maximize your skill set. And they just want to see you get better. And so my hat's off to him. I had some other mentors along the way, but the person who basically expanded my mindset and had me thinking differently from, going from 75,000 a year to thinking about 75,000 a month was direct sales, ACN, and Orange Solomon.
Okay. Okay. How long do you think it took for your mind to actually shift to that reality that instead of making $75,000 a year, I can make 70,000 a month?
Oh man, once I heard that he did I mean, that was all I needed to do was hear it. And all I needed to do was see the success that he had. I think
Right.
he had this convertible cabriolet. It was an E300 Mercedes Benz. It was real nice. It was emerald green, black top on it. And I knew that car was like 60, 70 grand back then. So I was like, oh yeah, he's making some money. And so once he started to break down the information on that whiteboard and drawing the circles and the numbers, I was like, man, if he can do it, I know I can do it. And he's willing to assist me in doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sky's gonna be the limit. And that was it.
I know that's right. Yeah.
Part time in TPN at that time. And I was like, man, if I can do 4 grand part time, imagine what I can do if I went full time. And I never saw $4,000 a month again in that company. So I left my government job, never
Right.
saw that level of income again. And so bottom line was like, I just had to get out there and do what I had to do, and that was it, man. So I had enough faith in myself and enough faith in the Creator to know that if I wanted it bad enough, God always, He never forsakes us. He never forsakes us, and all I had to do is put
That's
the
right.
time and the energy in, and the rest is history.
I know that's right. That's I remember seeing you too, man, when you was up there on that stage. That's why I said I can't remember if it was Organic Gold or prepaid legal, but I was like, man, what is this brother doing here? We was young too. We
Hmm.
had to be we had to be in our late 30s
Yeah.
around that time.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
think it was late 30s. That definitely had to be Organo Gold then. Yeah, because I got involved with prepaid. That was my mid 20s.
Okay, yeah.
Mid 20s. Yep. Hmm.
Yep, had to be Organic Gold then. Yep. So you talk about that habits, man. You know, a lot of people they dream about it and they talk about 6 figures, but what are some of the daily habits that separated you from what everybody else was doing? The guy that was talking about success.
Well, I always say that there's a part of your mind that doesn't like you, right? And that part of your mind that doesn't like you, either you're going to let it talk you out of things when you need to be talking
Mm-hmm.
yourself into things. And so, getting up in the morning, I know for some people, man, the bed feels good. And some people need a snooze button. They beat up that snooze button 3 or 4 times before they get out of the bed. And so the part of your mind that doesn't like you says, man, stay here. Don't get up. Just stay here in the bed, man. Stay a little longer. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you know that you should have had your butt up, 2 times ago when you beat up the snooze button, and you got to deal with rush hour traffic. You got to deal with running late and all those things. And so the difference for me is like your habits are your best friends, or they can be your worst enemies. And
Yeah.
so I knew that most people weren't going to do what I was willing to do. And so when the alarm clock went off, I got up. I wasn't laying there. Why am I going to continue to lay there for if I say I really want what I want? You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter whether it's, going to the gym. It doesn't matter whether it's just getting up and, whatever it is you need to do. So your habits are the things. Your habits, again, your best friends or your worst enemies. And some people are in a place where, initially the habits we're creating. It's like, oh, this is not bad. This is not bad. And then it gets to a point in your life where these habits have become bad, and it's so hard to break those chains.
Sure
Sometimes,
is.
you can't really feel them early on, but then as you continue to press on, you start to do those things, man, it becomes extremely difficult to basically to break those things. And so your habits are your best friends or your worst enemies. I would always compete with people as well, with other folks in the company. I remember going to a big event, and there's a guy. He's from Houston. He walked across the stage. We were both like bronze executive directors, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so he didn't know me. I didn't know him. I congratulated him, shook his hand, and I said, you know what? At the next event, I'm gonna make sure that I'm at a pin level higher than he was, right? So we came back to that next event. He was a silver executive. I was a silver executive. I said, okay, so we're doing the same thing. But then at the next event, I was a gold executive. Then I became a platinum, then a platinum two, and he was still at silver. So basically, he didn't know that he was in a competition with me, right? But
Right.
I was like, I don't know what this guy's doing, but I know what I'm doing. And so he was motivating me in Houston, Texas, and didn't even know that he was in a competition. And so that's some of the stuff that we have to do to inspire and motivate ourselves.
Yep.
And some people just aren't willing to do that, man. Some people will basically, they say they want to build an empire, right? And in one hand, they want to build an empire, but with the other hand, they're scrolling to their demise on their cell
Yep.
phones. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And so it's like it's one or two things you're going to have to do. So there's a million ways to make $1 million. There's also a million excuses to keep you from making that million as well. And so you got to do the things. Most times you got to do things that you don't want to do. Things that
Yep.
go places you don't want to go in order for you to have the level of success that you want to have. But some people are willing to pay that price. Some folks aren't.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about too. Because sometimes you just want to lay in that bed. I know, even in the industry that I'm in now, if I want to be successful, I got to get out there and do the work. Because if I don't do the work, ain't nothing gonna happen. And I think, like you said, many of us we want the success. We want to get out of debt. We want to have the 6 figure income and live in a nice neighborhood. But we don't want to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to do the work, and because I mean, like I still struggle. I'm out here passing out flyers right now, and trying to introduce myself.
Okay.
And I some days it be coming to me, man. You don't have to go out there today, but
That
I
part
know I do.
like you was trying to keep you comfortable, but then it's going to have you uncomfortable if you don't do the stuff you need to do. So you got to control those thoughts, man. You got to control those thoughts.
Yeah, I know. I just learned recently, and I actually just Googled this, right, and I was like, man, what creates inconsistency? And I was asking Gemini, and in a nutshell, out of all, when you ask Gemini questions, it just gives you a whole list of things.
Mm-hmm.
But in a nutshell, what it was saying is your mindset.
Yeah.
It's what them thoughts that come into your mind. If you choose to listen to what your mind is telling you, or what your emotions is telling you, or your feelings is telling you,
Mm-hmm.
then, like you said, that's gonna be your demise.
Absolutely. Either you're going to control your thoughts, or your thoughts are going to control you. That's it.
Yeah, I know that's right, and I'm a firm believer in that now. Hey, so was there ever a season when you questioned whether things was going to work for you, and then how did you keep going when the results didn't show up? When, like, when you knew what your goals were,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't, the harvest wasn't showing up.
Yeah. So, like I said, when I left the post office, I left soon. I left too soon. And so, but one of the things for me, like I said, I've always believed in myself. I've always had faith, but I never paid into any retirement fund. They had a thrift savings plan. Never participated in that because I just knew I was going to be there. The post office was not the finish line for me. It was basically a pit stop, and I just knew I was going to be more and have more. Right. So once I left
Mm-hmm.
the post office, I remember on what it is that we do, because I'm pretty sure there's something that you're doing that I can benefit from, and I'm pretty sure you can benefit from what I'm doing. But let's get together over coffee for about 15, 20 minutes. And so that became my spiel, man. And I would sit down with folks, share with them what was going on with prepaid at that time. Was it? Yeah, it was prepaid at that time.
Mm-hmm.
and then just started filling up that funnel, man. Before I knew it, the rest was it. My first year ever in prepaid, I went over the six-figure mark, and the
Wow.
rest was history, man. Yep, it didn't
Yeah,
take me a
yeah.
long time,
Yeah, don't
but
say don't.
I left the post office soon, too soon. When it's down to $20, you trying to make a decision on, am I going to go out here and put this $20 in this V8? Yeah, I need some food. You know what? Let me make these phone calls. I'm saving this. I'm saving this $20. Let me make these phone calls and start following up with people, man. And so people see the finished product. People don't know sometimes what we went through, what the journeys are, and they see folks shining. You know, sometimes all people show nowadays on social media platforms are just the highlight reels, right?
Yep.
They don't talk about they won't share what's really going on. Some folks, you know, there is. His was so crazy. I was I was doing something a few weeks back, and it was talking about how there's an industry now. You look at these videos and the rappers and people. You know, there's an industry now. There's a company out in Vegas that prints fake money. And
Mm.
so they print fake money. And so you see people in these videos laying on beds of money. That money's not even real. There are companies out there that print fake money. And so people have come, but I just they wrapped around this whole concept, or let me fake it till I make it. Right.
Right.
Thing
Yep.
is, don't fake it, face it. FACE, face it. Don't fake it,
I know that's
face it.
right.
Go through what you got to go through to get there. You ain't got to fake nothing, man. Be you. You know, take the lashes you're going to take, and just become the person that you need to be. Because when it's all said and done, and you go across that finish line, man, there's nothing that anybody can't say because you went through what you had to go through. And people try to avoid that, man. People try to avoid the pain, and if you
Mm-hmm.
avoid the pain, you can't ever have the power. It
That's
takes
right.
the pain for you to get to the power.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah, that's one.
at that time, laying on the floor in the bedroom with like I said, hundreds of business cards, and I was like, you got to do something. You got to do something. So I just started calling folks. Came up with my little sales pitch, and before I knew it, not even 12 months later, over the six-figure mark, had no problems financially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, man, a lot of people don't want to put the work in and don't want to go through the process. Like
Mm-hmm.
that day you was sitting there laying on that floor with only $20. Some people would have been like, "Man, this ain't working. I got to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go get a job." And,
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you this: do you think that anybody can be an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. I believe everybody has an entrepreneur spirit in them. And if you're hanging out with the right people who have the right mindset and then the right philosophies, man, because some folks, I have an uncle, right? Uncle Anthony. And I remember when I left the post office, he's like, man, you crazy. You ain't got no benefits, man. What you doing? Man, you crazy. That good government job. So, but he doesn't have the mindset of an entrepreneur because he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
hanging around entrepreneurs, right? So it's impossible for you to hang around entrepreneurs. If you're an employee, it's impossible for you to hang around with entrepreneurs and not have an entrepreneur mindset. But if you're just hanging around employees, you're gonna have that employee mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so it's all about the company you keep. My grandmother used to say, "You are your five closest friends." Right? If five of your
That's
friends are
true.
broke, you're number six. If five of your
That's
friends are
true.
wealthy, you're number six. She said, "Tony," she said, "show me your friends. I will show you your future." Your friends like buttons on elevators. Some of them will take you up, but most of them will try to take you down. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And so if you're around folks who have an entrepreneur mindset, how the entrepreneur spirit for a lot of people, man. But
Yep.
most folks were, blacksmiths, locksmiths, butchers, and all types of things. But then at
Mm-hmm.
some point, somebody came up with a job, and people like, what, let me go over here and get this job because I know I can count on this check coming every single month or every single week. Nah, that's not the mindset of a true entrepreneur.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think you said something that everybody that's listening really need to hear when you were saying that about your company you keep, because I don't think you can elevate no higher than the people that you're around.
No man,
You
no,
know,
no sir, no
you
sir.
know,
I
and
mean,
I'm not saying that's with everybody, because some people can make it out of it,
right?
but
But you have
for the
to, because here's what I say: if you hang around folks who don't read, then you probably don't read.
yep,
If you hang around folks who are reading books, you know what? You probably read books. If you hang
Yep.
around folks who don't drink, or then you
You
probably don't
probably
drink. But
don't
if you
drink.
hang around folks who do drink, then you probably do drink. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
your associations are everything. You know what I'm saying? So you have to really have that mind. What they say, association equals assimilation.
Right.
Right. And so who you associate with is going to take you up or they're going to pull you down. That's it. And so people don't understand how important that is. Having the right people around you, doing the right things, having the right philosophies, the right mindset, all those things are extremely important. But people don't understand how important that is.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I first started talking about the stock market and then started learning about the stock market, man, I was so excited
Hmm.
that I was learning something new and about the stock market. I seen it. I'm like, man, people they getting stock market making millionaires. It's not gambling. And man, I would go down and talk to some of my friends about it, and it's just like I was on an island, you know. And what I realized is that if I can't find another group of people to talk about this with me, then I'm gonna lose it,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. So you got to have, you got to have the right, you got to have the right folks around you. So it's like, most folks, and I'm a numbers guy, right? So every 24 hours in the United States, just in the United States, guys, every 24 hours, there's 1,700 new millionaires created every 24 hours just in the United
Mm,
States. Not from Powerball, not from Mega Millions, not entertainers or professional athletes or whatever. Every 24 hours, 1,700 new millionaires are created in the United States, right? But because that's folks have they're associating with the right folks first and foremost, right? They have the right mindset. They're not beating up the snooze button on the alarm clock. You know what I mean?
yep.
They're doing all the things that they need to do to get themselves to where they want to be. And some folks are just coasting, man. Some folks are they're comfortable with being uncomfortable. And what I mean by that, they're comfortable like living from paycheck to paycheck. They're comfortable knowing that their car may not start when they go out there in the morning. They're comfortable with knowing that hey, I might get evicted in a couple of days, and all they have to do is just change that mindset, get around the right
Yep.
people, get around the right folks, and things are going to change. It's going to rub off on you one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Just start believing.
Absolutely.
Start believing you can. So when it comes to your belief, right?
Hmm.
How much do you think that your faith has had to do with your success?
So I remember when I was, going through the storm, right? And when I was on the floor, um, making these phone calls, and I was like, man, I looked at my situation. I said, God, all I need is $1,000 a week. This is after I left the
Mm-hmm.
post. If I can make $1,000 a week, man, I can get some insurance on this Lexus. Um, I can catch up on these because I was $25,000 in credit card debt. You name the creditor, I owed them, right? So I was
Yep.
defaulting on a bunch of things, man. And I just my faith was there. So I had more conversations with the creator during that time than ever before in my life at that point, right? And so all I needed was an extra $1,000 a week. And I said, God, if you can just give me this $1,000 a week. I'm having this conversation with God all the time. And so God says, okay, he saw my effort. He
Yep.
understood my faith, what my faith was, right? And so within a matter of weeks, that $1,000 a week that I wanted was 4 grand a month. God started blessing me with 4 grand a week. I went
Mm-hmm.
from, barely making $1,000 a week to making $4,000 a week over the $16,000 monthly mark, man. And that was faith.
Right.
And so I'm like, he's got all the stuff. So like some people never make 100 grand in a year. He's making 100 grand a month. And he just said that he would trust God more. And he says, Antonio, think about it. He said, I made 100 grand a month for the majority of my adult life. He said, but imagine how much more I would have been blessed if I just had trusted
Executing.
God. So no, I didn't, to be completely transparent and honest, no, I didn't hear any of that. I just knew
Okay.
that if what they say, faith without works is dead. So I
Yep.
had the faith. I had the faith, and I just had to put the work in. You know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
as I started putting that work in, man, and God, I just believe the Creator saw the work that I was putting in. He saw how much faith I had, And the work took care of everything else, man. The faith was there. 666, right? So I'm looking at the page. I'm like, what in the world? Why is
Right.
somebody doing this to
Right.
me? And so at that point, I had a decision to make, and it was painful for somebody to see it tired and 666 would come through, man. I would put my shoes back on,
And
or
go back
if I
out.
was having lunch, I'd get up from the lunch table, throw the lunch, throw my lunch away, and I would start making phone calls. I would go out and
Mm-hmm.
start prospecting people, and just daydreaming or whatever. I said, but when that 666 came through, it kept me on point. You kept me
Right.
motivated. You kept me inspired. And so I said, I thank you and I appreciate you, because if it weren't for you in the 666, I would not be here, right?
That's
And
right. So what was one financial mistake that you made that taught you one of your greatest lessons?
oh man, one, can I give you more than one?
Yeah.
All right, so um I remember seeing had that coupe, and I wanted that coupe. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
on the flip side of that, when people saw that, because I think it was only three people in the all of the DMV who had that car at the time. It was Santana Moss that played for the Washington Redskins. It was supposed to purchase thousands of tons of silver. Right now the silver's down. He said, but it's a $25,000 buy-in. Right, I'm like 25 grand. That ain't no money. I just got money sitting here, and not in an investment account. I got money just sitting in a savings account, right? I'm not even getting
Right.
all the interest I'm supposed to get. But I'm like, you know what? Man, that money just sitting there. All right, go ahead, let's open up this account. So I put the 25 grand in the account. Within maybe 3.5 weeks, the 25 grand grows to 60,000,
Mm.
right? So my buddy says, "Yo, it's 60. I mean, the 25 is 60 now." And I'm sorry about the yo, but I'm just that's how I talk. That's how I
No,
was
we
talk.
good.
Anyway,
We
and
good.
so my boy's like, "Hey, the 25 is 60 grand," because he put up 25 grand as well, right? So
Right.
um, he was like, "Man, what you want to do?" And I was like, "Have those countries purchased that silver yet?" He was like, "Nah." I said, "Man, let it ride, because I don't need it." You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I got money coming. I'm straight. So he let his ride, right? Within the next week, that
Money make money for us,
mm-hmm,
and we waste so much money.
absolutely.
What would you do different?
What would I
I
do
mean,
differently? So this is especially if they're folks of color on listening to this podcast, this may affect them differently, right? Um, but what I would do differently is this: when my mom, I had an insurance policy on my mom when she passed, right? And I know some people are, oh man, why would you have the insurance policy on your mother? That's going to jinx her. Like, nobody's going to make it out of life alive. And I think that when it comes to life insurance, some other ethnic groups call it they call it inheritance. We call it
mm-hmm.
life insurance, but they call it inheritance, right? So I had a policy on my mom. The policy on my mom was only $30,000, right? And she had a policy on herself for like 60,000 or whatever. And so if I could go back and change up anything, I would have made sure I had no less than $1 million policy on my mom and my grandmother, right?
Yep.
So I have a multi-million-dollar policy on myself. So when I check up out of here, my daughters and my son are good, right? They won't ever
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about money again. And so we have to look at things that way. It's like we're gonna leave here one day. And so I think it's the Patel family who made it here from the Middle East, right? So the Patel family, they own most of the hotels. They own more hotels in the United States than anybody
Yep.
else, right? And so, but before they got to a point where they own hotels and motels, what they did was they had those little, um, uh, I guess you call them like little shady motels or whatever. Maybe they had 15 or 20 rooms that you would pull off of not maybe the best expressway, and they would just have these little motels, right? So when they came over here, what they would do is the hotel had 20 rooms. They would basically live in five of the rooms and sell 15 of them. And they had their own housekeeping staff and so on and so forth, right? And so that's one of the ways they became, to own so much real estate here, hotel wise, in the United States. But another thing they did was they took out $1 million policies on all the seniors.
Mm-hmm.
They took out
Yep.
$1 million policies on the babies, right?
Yep.
And so, of course, the when you think about having $1 million policy on a senior, maybe that premium was a $500 a month, $1,000 a month, or whatever it was. But
Yeah.
they said, you know what? The seniors are like, look, we're going to die, we're going to transition, but we want to leave you guys in a better situation once we're gone. We want to
Mm-hmm.
put you in a better situation. And so as the seniors started to pass, which was going to happen, right? $1 million policies were paid to the Patel family. You see what I'm saying
Yep.
here? And they
Yep.
got these other $1 million policies on
Yep.
babies, because of course, as you know, this being in financial services, the insurance companies want to insure young, healthy people,
Yep.
right? And so the younger you are and the healthier you are, the more premiums they can collect over a period of time. And so that's why, premiums are so high as we get older, because we're going to start having some health issues, and
Yeah.
they're playing with the numbers. They know, life expectancy and all those things.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, if I could go back, because I retired my mom. That's one of the things I did. I retired my mom. And that was one of the best days in my life, when I was able to do that, generate enough income, not being a ball player, not being a rapper, not being an entertainer, but just an entrepreneur, and legally was able to retire my mom. And then when my grandmother decided to sell her home and move into a senior community, I went and I bought her I bought her a new bedroom set, new living room set, new dining room set. Man, it's like everything she had was new, right? And
Yep.
so all I wish I would have done differently was, if I had the mindset then that I have now, I would have had policies on them, and not just for the benefit of myself, but grandkids, great grandkids
Yeah.
who want to go to school, should be going to school, right? Should be able to purchase a home and all those things. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to inheritance slash life insurance, our people, we come up short, man. We're underinsured. Um, and when people transition out of here, we gotta, if someone has already
Go
transitioned,
fund me.
we gotta go do chicken dinners, and
Yep.
we gotta do all kind of stuff, man. And it's a simple thing. It's a simple thing,
Yep.
because when someone checks out, it should not. The situation financially shouldn't get worse. It should get better.
It should be. And you said something earlier when you was talking. You said you was talking about you would have got some people who understood the industry to help you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, we don't want to do that. We want to do it on our own. We'll figure it
Mm-hmm.
out. And one thing that I've learned and learning is that you don't have to do it by yourself. Just like we talk about the network marketing industry, and I remember, they tell us the system.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the system. You don't have to change it. Just do what we're teaching you, and you're gonna be successful. Well, I'm the smart guy, you know, and I was always the one that I'm gonna do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna do it the way they said it. And every time I did that, man, I fell dead on my face. I feel dead on my face, and so now at 57, I'm learning to run the system.
But hey,
Run the system. And then you talked about life insurance. I want to show. I picked up this book. I'm gonna see if everybody can see it. This one here. What would the Rockefellers do? I don't know if you ever read that one.
I'm gonna pick it up though, for sure.
Yeah. So what would the Rockefellers do, man? It talks about how the Rockefellers did basically what you said with their insurance policy. They started getting insurance policies like the Patel family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you look at the Rockefeller family, they still being talked about as one of the wealthiest family. Well, one of the reasons why they one of the wealthiest family because they buy insurance policies on everybody in their family. Then they put it in a trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when it's time for the Rockefellers to do something, they don't have to run to J.P. Morgan and Chase or go over here to there. They go to their own trust and they are their own bank because of the system that they set up. And we don't think about that, man. We got we the little money that we have, we don't utilize it the way we could utilize it, and
Absolutely.
we spend it. We waste it. Right now, me and my brother always talked about it. I started cutting hair at 25. Man, if I'd have just put up $35 a day That was back in the day. It was probably about two haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have put up $35 a day up until right now, man, I have about $1 million. And
Mm-hmm.
my 57-year-old self will be like, Marvin, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for what you did.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't think like that. And right now, $35 for a barber or beautician, that's just one client.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just one client a day. And,
Mm-hmm.
and but and people, we just don't think about that. And everybody that's watching, I don't care what type of job you got, it doesn't take a lot of money to become wealthy. It
Yep.
just takes some consistency.
Discipline
Yep.
and consistency. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. I got one more question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
How much do you believe where someone lives determine how much money they can make?
So I'll do
Or
this.
is it just mindset?
No, I'll say this, right? So I grew up in a project. My mom was on Section 8. We grew up in the hood. However,
Mm-hmm.
I never surrendered to my surroundings. I said, this is a place that's just like, it's just a pit stop, right? So even though we lived in a 3 bedroom, roach infested apartment back then, I just knew that once I got out here in the world, that things were going to be different for me, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't limit myself to what was happening in that neighborhood. I just always knew I was going to have more and I was going to be more. So again, wealthy is a mindset, it's a thought
That's right.
process, right? And so again, I didn't really hang out with people in that neighborhood. I just didn't. And not that I thought I was better. Again, I just knew I wanted more and I was going to have more. And the folks who were hanging out on the corner doing what they were doing, I was like, nah, that wasn't for me. And so, um, the only thing that limits you are your thoughts. The
Right.
neighborhood you grew up in, the neighborhood you live in, it doesn't limit you. The only thing that limits you is you. And so you have to think highly of yourself. You have to have the right philosophies. You have to have the right people around you. Instead of scrolling through your phone, pick up a book. What the Rockefellers do: pick up a book, do
Yeah.
something that's going to put you in a place. Even this change of mindset, all it takes is this one sentence, or one phrase to just pop into your head. Now you have a whole different philosophy on something that you didn't have before. So all those things, those little minute things make the difference, man. And so, like I said, my single mom of three, or four, I should say. Single mom of four. My brother Derek. It's me and my brother Derek, my sister Regina, and my youngest brother Ralph, who was murdered about 10 years ago here in the DMV area. Volunteering his time helping out some at-risk youth. Anyways, so but four of us and my mom, five of us living in a 3 bedroom apartment. Me and my brothers shared a bedroom. Of course, my mom and her sister had their own rooms, and we were on Section 8.
Yep.
We were in Section 8, man, but that didn't limit my thoughts. We were using Section 8 as a perk, but I didn't have a Section 8 mentality.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so, no, where you live doesn't determine who you are. It just
Yep.
doesn't.
Yep. Some people just, I think some people just go back, they accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, I'm going to change, I'm going to be better, they look at it like, okay, this is what God gave me, so this all I am.
Right.
Instead of saying I can do better.
Mm-hmm.
So brother, if someone watching tonight, 21 in 20s and 30s, and they trying to build a business, trying to gather their wealth together, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them is make sure you pay yourself. Like you mentioned, $35 a day or whatever. I don't care what it is that you're doing. Maybe you get paid daily, maybe you get paid, weekly or monthly or every bi-weekly or whatever. Make sure you pay yourself. Put something away. Put something away,
Mm-hmm.
forget about it. And it's so much easier now. I went to Hampton, and my business was my major was business finance, right? So I was going to be a stockbroker. Okay. I went to Hampton for a trimester. I tried. College just wasn't my thing. I just do better with the creative side of my brain than I do the analytical side, right? And so I say all that to say this though. So you don't even need a stockbroker anymore. There's so many platforms
Mm-hmm.
out there that you can say, you know what, I'm just going to take, $10 a pay period, $20 a pay period, or $100 a month or whatever, and start to let that money start to work for you. So don't every penny you earn is not supposed to be burned, right?
That's right.
Every penny you earn is supposed to start earning for you as well. Put some coveralls on your money because I promise you, when it comes, so when you get to be 57, we're both of us 57 years old. When you get to 57, I promise you, what you start to do in your 20s and your 30s, and you're just putting it away. It's a nest egg. You're just putting it away. I
Yep.
promise you, when you hit your 50s, life as you know will be completely different because once again, your philosophies change. You discipline yourself, and I'm not saying to be to go out here and not get the things that you want. Sometimes you have to discipline discipline yourself to not go out here and just blow money on things, but you just have to put yourself in a place where you're thinking first, and spending last, right? And so delay your
Mm-hmm.
gratification. Sometimes you got to delay your there's stuff that I want, the things that I want to go get, but and as I was coming through, and so you got to sometimes delay your gratification. Put some money away, man. Put some money away instead of having all these Jordans and Adidas and hookahs and all those things that folks like to wear. So if you like it, you should own it. That's what Warren Buffett says. And so not even if I like it, you should own it. No, not buy more of it, but buy some of the stock.
Right.
You wearing Jordans and Nikes and Adidas and True Religion or whatever, buy some of the
Buy
stock.
some
Do
stock
some
of it. I know that's right.
because other
Yeah.
folks are purchasing it. If you like it, other folks like it as well. And if you just say, look, every pay period, $25, $50 or whatever. So now you got this thing going on in the background that you probably forget about, or you should forget about. And before you know it, you are an extremely wealthy individual because you were disciplined enough to say, I'm just going to put X
Yep.
amount away. I like this. I'm starting investing in the things that I like. Simple stuff.
Yep. Yep. Habits.
That's it.
Habits.
That's it.
Developing
And
those
make sure
good.
yeah, and make not step in your words, but make sure you get some coverage for yourself, man. Get $1 million policy for yourself. Because we can be here today and gone today, not even
Yep.
tomorrow. And so, God forbid, if something happens to you, you want to make sure family, children, whoever, they're taken care of, man. And so, make
Yep.
sure nothing else, you have some type of coverage that's going to be an inheritance. Leave
Leave
an
a
inheritance,
legacy.
not debt behind. And then
Mm-hmm.
20s and 30s is a great time to get it.
Yeah, I think it's the best time. Well, I can tell you for sure, it's the best time to get it
Absolutely.
because I got people that try to get policies in their 60s and 70s, and man, when I come back and tell them how much it costs, they be like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's
For a
that's
small
that's the
amount.
yep, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
cost of waiting. I mean, even if you're investing, you can, like I said, 25-year-old, you can put up $35 a week. You
Mm-hmm.
57 at $35 ain't gonna do too much of nothing.
Right.
I mean, it'll do something. It
It's
be
better than
something.
doing something than doing nothing for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But it ain't gonna. It's not gonna be $1 million. That's for sure.
Right.
I think
Absolutely.
time is. And that's one of the things I think a lot of us, and when we're younger, we don't focus on, don't take advantage of is time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, me and you 57 now, and I don't know about you, but 57 got here like super duper fast to me.
Ah, yeah, it comes right away, man. It comes right
Yep.
away. Yeah, I can't even believe it. Like 57, like it's crazy.
That's
But
what I be saying, man. I be like, "Dag, 57. When I get 57, But
mm-hmm.
it comes, it comes, you
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, yeah, brother. I appreciate you, man. I really do appreciate you sharing that wisdom and knowledge with us, man. We got to get you back on because some people said we was buffering badly today,
Oh wow.
and so yeah, so
That's
that's what happened when you getting good information.
that's the devil.
That's the
That's
yeah,
the
that's
enemy.
the enemy right there.
You know what I'm
You
saying? He
know,
don't want to get this information because we don't want him to get it.
right, right. But tell the people, you got the show. You got to do the not the show, but you do a phone call every Wednesday.
Yeah, I do a call on Wednesdays at what time? It's 9 o'clock my time. That'll be 8 o'clock you guys' time.
Yep, 8 o'clock. Yep, St. Louis Central Time.
Yeah, and it's called Weekly Wisdom Wednesdays with Antonio Adair. And basically, what I do, I just, as I have conversations with people, I share conversations I've had with folks, and then also share stories from personal experiences, things that I've gone through, things that I know that other folks have gone through. And so on Wednesday, folks leave off of that call with wisdom. And shoot, I don't even know my own number, brother.
Right.
I
Well,
said that
you
I
know,
know it's 8 something. So if you could post that up there, that'd be great. 'Cause I don't want to mess anything up as I try to
yeah,
pull up on the phone.
yeah. I'm gonna type it in real quick. I'm gonna go back because I had Bob on here last week,
Okay, okay.
and I got to figure out a way how to get this information up on my, you know, on my live stream, so I can be sharing it with everybody.
Mm-hmm. So let me see
You
something here.
know,
You guys still see
all
me or
right.
no?
No, we can't see you now.
All right, hold on. Let me see something here.
The
Let
guy,
me
here's
see.
the phone number. The phone number is 518-318-3567. I'm gonna go ahead and type this in. And it's Weekly Wednesday. Give me a second, guys and ladies. Wisdom. And the number is 518-318-5267. 5267. And then let me 513-318-5267. All right, y'all. I just posted it up there. I'm gonna bring it across the screen so you can see it. Weekly Wisdom Wednesday. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I got it. Yeah, I got one number in there too many, y'all. Instead of just one, I got 15. It's 5267. 513-318-5267. And this starts at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So that'll be what? Uh,
it's 6 o'clock. That's no, that's
six
7.
o'clock Pacific.
Yeah, 6 o'clock Pacific. Yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you're on the West Coast, it'll be 6 o'clock. But I tell you what, y'all, he's always dropping some wisdom. Like I said, I've been watching this brother for the last 20 some years, and he know how to make it happen. That's all I can say. Make it
Appreciate it.
happen. We still trying to find out if we family.
We gotta
You
be,
know.
man. Hey, because all the Jacksons and the Johnsons and the Joneses are related. So we got the A-Days
Yeah.
related, man.
Yup.
Our
I
clan
got
may
my
not be as big as theirs, but hey, it's
right.
the A-Day thing.
I know that's right. My son watching tonight, so he gonna start searching.
Okay.
You know, he found out that the Dares last name got something to do with Cherokee Indians.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I said that don't even sound like an Indian name,
Right.
but you know how that go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But again, brother, I appreciate you. And to everybody that's watching tonight, if you all enjoyed this conversation and enjoy what you got from Faith and Finance Tuesday, hey, like the page, subscribe, and share it. Share this, help us get this information out because we really wanna help as many people be successful as can be, right? That, that's the whole key. And I just want to share. Go ahead.
No, I said thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to share.
Hey, all right, man. And like I said, we're gonna have to get you back on here.
Okay, let's do it.
Get you back on. I'm gonna share this QR code with you all real quick. All right, so if y'all got any question about your own financial future, or you would like to sit down and talk, you can scan the QR code and we can sit down and we can have a conversation, build a strategy that's right for you and your family, and I love to have the opportunity to help you. So all you got to do is simply scan the QR code on the screen and schedule for a complimentary financial checkup. And what we'll do, we'll sit down together, we'll discuss your goals, I'll answer any of your questions, and help you build a plan that's designed specifically for your future. All right? So tonight, I hope tonight's episode encouraged you. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell somebody. Tell somebody. All right, y'all. Appreciate you. Brother Antonio, man, I really appreciate you.
All right, cousin.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.
Okay, be safe.
All right. All right, everybody. Good night and have a good one. I know we had some buffering issues. Those who hung in with me, man, thank you for hanging in. And you know how technology is. It's whatever the enemy tried to do, but we worked through it. We worked through it. And I hope y'all got something out of that, man. He dropped some nuggets tonight, and he just apply it, work hard. So good night, everybody. Until next week on Faith and Finance Tuesday, we'll be in episode 9. All right.